everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Finance on Your Terms with Mike and Danny. We're continuing our series on planned giving, and as we promised last week, we're going to go a little bit more complex this week. Mike is going to be burdened with most of the information in this video simply because he has these really fancy letters behind his name and he is way smarter than I am. But I'm going to take the simple planned, more complex planned giving and talk a little bit about required minimum distributions, or RMDs. If you are a loved one is 70 and a half or older, you now have to take RMDs by IRS regulations every single year as a portion of your IRA or your 401k. A little tip here, if you have an organization you're passionate about, if you have an organization you want to give money to year over year, you can actually take those RMDs or more if you want and give it directly to the organization and not pay taxes on those distributions. So little tip, if you need some tax strategies, make those contributions directly to those organizations. There's tons of people who can help. Advisors can help you with it. The organization itself should be able to have some information there. But for the rest of this episode, I'm going to turn it over to Mike because he's got some pretty cool stuff to share.
I don't even know what those letters mean. But always check with your CPA or tax accountant to make sure how that works, because there is a very specific way that money has to go directly to that organization. Otherwise, that doesn't work. So always check with them. Yep. But a great strategy and something fairly new that they've come out with. Now, when Danny says more complicated, we are not here to sit and give you a lecture or a big PowerPoint about all these different trust intricacies and all that. But there are things that you can set up. So we are talking long-term financial planning now. As you get closer to retirement, if you're in retirement, you have larger sums of money, because that's the whole purpose of everything that we're doing, is to make sure you have the money to live on and be able to pass along to those organizations and people that you do care about. There are things that you can set up, and this is where we would work with the attorney as well, different trusts and different strategies where you can set up streams of income. And you can do it a few different ways. There's GRATS, GRUTS, CRUTS, CRATS, there's all kinds of acronyms. What it means is that you can do what you want, okay, but set up specifically for what you want to give to an organization. Whether it's a stream of income while you're still living, and if something happens to you, that remainder, whatever is left in that trust, goes to your heirs, or vice versa, to where you've got a stream of income coming to yourself through a trust that you can live off of, and then whatever the remainder of that is at the end of your life, that gets passed on to a charity. And then there's several things in between as well. So the idea is control. Okay? This is estate planning at its core. Control. So if you've got one organization, 10 organizations, it doesn't matter. Let's have the conversation with your advisor, let's have the conversation with your attorney, and we can set up trusts to direct that money exactly how you want. There's also endowments, foundations, things that we can set up with that money that you can control while you're living, and then also control if, God forbid, something were to happen to you when you die as well. So control is the game, and there are lots of tools out there. All you got to do is ask the question.
And that's how we're going to wrap up this series next week. Tune in with us, because we're going to give you the resources that you need. If what Mike says sounds like your situation and you want to get that stuff put in place, but you have no idea what those acronyms mean or what next steps are, tune in, because we're going to give you some resources, some people you can talk to really get these things done and take those next steps.
See you next week.